From Wall Street to Main Street.
It's a major night here on Evenings LA as gasoline prices surge higher dramatically. Good evening. OPEC Plus is set to announce a major cut of gasoline once again, and I predicted last week it could be nearly 1 million barrels a day, and this is big news for your benefits. Why? Because inflation's going to track higher, your benefits are going to go higher, and in just days as well. We have the latest details on that. On October 13th, we'll see how much your lifetime stimulus checks will be, LSCs, as the indication is tonight that CPI-W will be released on October 13th, even higher than the month of August. We'll go over the latest details across the board happening right now. Meantime, massive FSCs, $300,000. One viewer getting $16,000 on Saturday. Another viewer today getting $18,000. We'll go over the big success stories that viewers are getting for those federal stimulus checks, and you need them. With nearly 300 checks of $300,000 coming from the federal government, all the latest details tonight across the board. Meantime, ISC checks coming from not Congress, but yes, your states. These incredible ISC inflation relief stimulus checks are heating up, and you need those. In view of what's happening with the Federal Reserve, we'll have the latest details on the Federal Reserve and their push and pull tonight, and what you need to know on what they're doing that impacts your wallet. Meantime, Apple and Nike, major trouble, supply chain disruption, lacks of demand for products, and yet stocks are up 600 points today. Why was that? All the latest details across the board. Meantime, what's going on with the housing market and why the housing market continues to struggle? The latest details on that tonight, left and right. Jobs likely to fall apart as an inflationary situation grows. The breaking news, we'll detail it tonight. Meantime, a big week with that OPEC Plus announcement just days away, the COLA raise right after that, and then the latest details from the Federal Reserve at that FOMC meeting for the month of October. And the big checks, massive checks that viewers are getting, nearly 100 new members in the last 24 hours. Make a promise to me, you'll stay to the big second half, you'll get ready to get all these incredible checks, and you'll stay with me as I go over each of them. The latest details happening tonight on a major recording. It's Evenings LA for the shores of Santa Monica, California. It all starts right now. And good evening about a big night, a huge night of October 3rd, 2022, as the shores of Santa Monica, California heat up. It is a lifetime stimulus, raise of your benefits, and massive new checks, while the latest details across the board. In tonight's recording, your benefit raise, your housing market, your unemployment, your forced stimulus. The breaking news all starts right here, right now, on a big night of Evenings LA. How are you? Thank you for joining me across this broadcast. Promise me one thing. You will stay to the very end of this recording, because later in this recording, I have monster checks for you, and I want to make sure you get all those incredible checks. Hashtag stand for stimulus. Let's go over the latest details on those checks right now. 3 categories of checks, and they are inflation relief stimulus checks. They are FSC federal stimulus checks, massive amounts, $300,000 viewers are walking away with. And then lifetime stimulus checks. We're going to go over all those incredible checks in just a second. But first, let's go over the breaking news that's making an impact on you and those checks and your wallet tonight. Breaking news tonight is that the reporting of this channel over the last week is being confirmed again. That indications are, in just days, OPEC Plus, the consortium of the oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia, is likely to cut production of oil by 1 million barrels a day. Less production, less oil, more demand, higher gas prices. This is what's happening across the board. When there is higher gas prices, then you have higher inflation. And this is big news for your benefits. We're going to go over that in a second. But jump in the live chat right now. I have a question for you right now. Where do you believe that CPI-W for the month of September will be when it's announced on October 13th? Right, the CPI-W, the number and come in your state, and we'll go over that later in this recording. We had a major number for inflation that impacts that CPI-W released on Friday, and that was the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, PCE, which showed that inflation compared to the prior month went up. There you go. It went up 0.6% on a monthly basis. Wow. And then on an annualized basis, 5% up. Personal income rose 0.3% in that month, and spending rose 0.4%. Wait, more people spending more money than their income's delivering? Yes, that's actually the case. The spending means that the milk and eggs was more expensive and rising faster than their salary was rising. Excluding gas and energy still had the same part of the equation. And this is as the Department of Federal Reserve is trying to get this inflation down to a 2% target by the end of the year. Not happening for another 2 years. The reaction to the news came in from Leo Brana, the number 2 of the Federal Reserve. She said the following upon that announcement of the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index. Monetary policies will need to be restricted for some time. That means interest rates will need to be raised. Jay Powell already told us what some time is, into 2024. And we're confident that inflation needs to continue to move back to target, and that is 2%. So that was Branard, and that was the PCE on Friday. Big news for your benefits, because why? If inflation did go up compared to the prior month, wow, that means that CPI-W released on October 13th is likely higher. Here's my analysis. The PCE, which is for the prior month, August, is released at the end of the month and is generally indicative of what you see for the CPI-W for the next month because they're released close together. So the fact that the PCE showed inflation went up compared to the prior month is likely to show that CPI-W being released on October 13th is also going up. We also had with that bad news for the valuations and the economic and financial independence of Americans tonight. A new report is released showing that 60% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck, and that's up compared to the prior year of 50%. Now, when you look at middle income individuals who make over 6 figures a year, over $100,000, they were at 38% living paycheck to paycheck last year. Now they're at a whopping 45%. Bank of America saw problems as well. Their new report out also indicates that 72% of workers feel their pay is not keeping up with their cost of living. So it's costing too much for the milk and eggs, and their salary is not keeping up. And what are they doing? Bank of America's report says more Americans are dipping into their cash reserves and into their debt, raising more debt, incurring more debt than ever before. And this, my friends, is why you have to get a forced stimulus check tonight. In this recording, we're going to go over all these incredible checks. Promise me again, you will watch the very end of this video as I go over all these incredible checks for you. Watch the very end of this video. But first, there's a preview of those 3 categories of checks that we'll be going over in tonight's recording. The first are FSCs, Federal Stimulus Checks, FSCs. These are checks from the federal government, like the White House you're looking at right here, and like the Congress. They're coming from Washington. And because they're federal, they are paid by Congress or the White House. They are sent by the federal government, and they are applied for with the federal government. Your state has nothing to do with these sums of money. Your state doesn't even put the stamp on the envelope. So let's look at these incredible FSC checks right now and understand where they are and how they work. The first 3 checks were passed by the President of the United States in the month of March. And those incredible checks are A, B, and C, as I call them on this channel. $100,000 of FSC, federal stimulus checks. You qualify. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits, go get it. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children, go get it. These are the first 3 checks, FSC, of federal stimulus checks. And in the second half, we're going to go over all these incredible checks in detail. Then Congress came around and passed 7 other categories of checks. They are checks E through K. 7 other categories of FSCs. But we weren't done there yet. Then I found you other FSCs, L&M, N&O, P and Q. And where do you get all these incredible FSCs? From the membership newsletter, delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, via the YouTube alerts. You go down that alert till you see the link to go right in the membership newsletter, and you go get those incredible checks. To get that membership newsletter, to become a member, you go right in this video and click the button. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And welcome to the nearly 100 new members in the last 24 hours. Again, later in this recording, the big second half, we're going to go over each of these incredible checks one at a time. But those are just the FSCs. In addition to the FSCs, there are also ISCs, Inflation Relief Stimulus Checks. These are from your states, and these are wonderful. We'll go over how you get these incredible automatic ISC, Inflation Relief Stimulus Checks, from your states, also in the second half. And then LSC, Lifetime Stimulus Checks. These are for you if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits. And in the big second half, we're going to go over that CPI-W for the month of September. What do you think it is? Jump in the live chat right now. CPI-W, the number, comma your state. Next, I'm going to ask you, right in the live chat, what you think that COLA will be when it's announced on October 13th. Where do you think it's going to be? Right in the live chat as well. And do you believe the stimulus stampede will come, and when? Get ready to answer that question. I'll be asking that in a second. But first, let's go back into the breaking news. The breaking news hitting today is that the markets were seeing a little bit of reprieve. Why? Well, stocks are trading higher today, not because anyone reported great corporate earnings, but because people were trading. Let's go over the latest details across the board. In the month of May, Walmart and Target reported that the consumer is not in the stores like they used to be. They're being hurt by inflation and recession. And that caused the stock market to crash, go straight down in the month of May. But two things happened after that that are very important for you to know right tonight. They are, number one, the Federal Reserve made very clear that they're going to raise interest rates to get inflation to 2%. And Wall Street threw away those comments, ignored those comments. And they, as Wall Street executives, did not embed the risks into the markets that more interest rate spikes are coming for the Federal Reserve after September. I said when you do not embed risk into the financial markets, the markets crash when the events happen. Number two, they told you on Wall Street to buy stocks in the month of May, and stocks started to go back up. In June, they went up. In July, they went up. In August, they went up. And then J. Powell and Company said, what are you doing? Are you waving the check and the check's not waving back? Are you getting a San Francisco hairstyle and saying you're haute couture? You're not even couture. You're not even hot. You're not hot, anything. He said, I'm raising rates, and LA got it right. I'm raising rates at least until the end of the year. But guess what? I'm raising rates into next year, as LA said as well. But I'm raising them even further. I'm raising them into 2024. OMG. Wall Street had not embedded those risks. They had not embedded a risk of an interest rate spike into this month, and the markets crashed. Tonight, the markets were up about 600 points. Why were the markets up? Because people are trading. No one should be buying to hold right now. They're trading to get a little bit of reprieve across the board. Here's what you need to know. Federal Reserve raises rates. That raises the bond market. The bond market raises their rates, and stocks crash. Affordability gets really a big issue because debt becomes more expensive to carry. And here's what you need to know what's going on tonight that impacts that left and right. Stocks are really, with exception today, down to levels we have not seen in a long time. They're not down to pre-COVID levels. They're not down to this annual year's lows. No, in many cases, they're to 1990 lows. That's how low the low is. They went straight down as soon as Jane Powell made that announcement. And they have been straight down ever since. And they will end the year even worse. In a recession, stocks go down 50%. So the fact that they're rallying today is not a glimmering hope. It's just a reprieve and potentially a little bit of trading. Bond market, very important to understand what's going on with that, because the 2-year note has traded higher because of recession. Yield curve inversion. The 2-year bond and the 10-year bond are more inverted, and when they are inverted, it means recession. It means the bond traders believe the recession is going to be more pronounced. And then the 30-year mortgage rate, what you use to buy a home. Housing market collapses as the rate's too high. Well, guess what? It's too high. The 30-year mortgage rate back in the spring was 3%. Then it tried to creep up to 6%. I projected to go to 7% by the end of the year. It went to 7% by the end of that week's projection. It went that quickly as soon as I made the projection. And now I'm saying it's going to 8%. But the impact of all of this is not felt or seen until about 2 to 3 months from now. I'll have more about that in a second. And this, my friends, is really why you have to get all this incredible stimulus. Let's pull up that graphic. That graphic featured on this channel for a long time talks about the steps of where this economy is going. November to September, September to January, January to 2024. Well, there you go. That graphic's indicative of what's going on. Why? September's a financial cliff. It was a financial cliff. And the financial cliff not particularly hitting everyone the same way, but the real heart of the economy is felt in January. And that is what people are saying as well tonight. But my graphic has been around since early this year. That's why you become a member. And in the big second half, we're going to go over all this incredible stimulus that you deserve. But we're not going to wait to the second half to look at all the checks, because we're going to start with the first 3 checks right now. The first check is Check A $6,500 to $12,000 for stimulus check. How do you get this incredible check? Step 1, go onto this video, subscribe. Go onto this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Go down to where it says Check A, click the link, and go right in and apply. Get that incredible Check A tonight. Now, in the membership newsletter, I do it all for you. All you have to do is just use your finger and click the link in the membership newsletter for Check A and go get it, as Spelly did. Congratulations to Spelly who got that Check A. After that, you're going to go get Check B. Right after Check A in the membership newsletter, go down to Check B. $15,000 to $80,000. Click the link, it goes right into the application, and you apply. The success stories for Check B have been immense. Here's Frank Mancuso. He joined this channel in less than 1 month with just a few dollars spent on a membership. Look at the tens of thousands of dollars he got. 18 months of mortgage, 18 months of utilities, 18 months of high-speed internet. Got all that for just spending a few dollars on a membership for this channel. We have a wonderful viewer also out of Florida. She got whopping money. She got $80,000 to $100,000 for Check B. Again, how do you get that incredible Check B? You become a member. Go right in this video, become a member, and go down to where it says Check B in the membership newsletter. Click the link and go in and apply. Get that incredible Check B in that membership newsletter. Now, we're not done there yet. You're going to go get Check C. How do you get Check C? Go down the membership newsletter where you see Check C. It tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. The difference with Check C is fascinating because in the case of Check C, it is also 50 to 80 checks. It is also averaging about 18 months of 5 checks a month. But with Check C, I got for you 12 places to reach out for that Check C. So let's say that again. Check B, 18 months, about 5 checks a month. That's Check B. Check C, the same. But with Check C, I got 12 places for you to reach out for them. You promise me this. You will reach out to all 12 places because you want to get as much of this incredible money for Check C. There you go. In the membership newsletter, it tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. Do it exactly like I say. And that is checks A, B, and C. Those are the first 3 checks of nearly 300 FSC checks I'm going to go over in this recording. Again, stay in the big second half because I got a lot more checks to go over in the big second half. But here's what you need to know about this economy tonight, and you need to know of where we're going with this economy as well. Major trouble left and right. We have all the problems with Germany and Western allies as that pipeline that feeds natural oil blew up last week, believed to have been blown up by Vladimir Putin. That is Nord Stream 1. That's the latest details on that. Then back in the United States, the gasoline price is going higher as well. Why are they going higher? Because OPEC Plus is meeting in just days and expected to cut production of gasoline by 1 million barrels a day. 1 million barrels a day, you know what that does. Less production, more demand. This comes as gasoline shortages are abounds because of refineries turned offline because of Hurricane Ian. So less production, hurricane season, OPEC Plus meeting, and more demand because people back at school. Yes, gasoline prices are now tracking to $8 a gallon in Los Angeles. Jump in the live chat. What are the prices of gasoline where you are tonight. Write the price and the state that you're in. Meantime, let's look at what's going on with Apple and Nike. Indicative of all the issues at hand and indicative of where we're going as an economy. Apple was the company that had bucked the trend when talking about corporate earnings. And they had signaled that they were likely to deliver massive demand for the brand new iPhone this holiday season. That was Apple. And then everything churned the other course. Why? Consumer demand's not there. Consumer demand's not there to buy a $1,000 phone this holiday season. You're surprised? Of course you're not surprised. The stock is down 20% year to date, and Bank of America downgraded Apple at the end of last week, which said shares have outperformed significantly year to date, but we perceive it's as it had been perceived as a relative safe haven in the past. But now we see a risk to this outperformance over the next year. Basically, they say a risk is not going to do that well. And we expect materially negative earnings revisions driven by weaker consumer demand. Basically, they're saying, get ready as more downward guidance is happening. Now, remember, we are now starting this week, the fourth quarter of this year. What does this mean? Number one, we will have the third quarter earnings results released by companies. Number two, we'll have the guidance for the rest of this year for those companies as well. Number three, we are also just ending the data of the gross national product for the last quarter. The GDP now from the Atlanta Fed was released over the weekend. It showed the U.S. economy did not grow dramatically, but also did not shrink. It was not a negative number, but the fact that it's not a negative number does not mean we don't have a recession. It's just not a very robust number across the board. Nike also having a major separate problem, and it's indicative of what we're dealing with as economy. It's supply chain disruption, still not solved. Supply chain disruption is the inability to get the product from the manufacturer to you, and Nike's reporting that's having problems in getting the product from where it is overseas to the States. Could be big problems, and whenever you see supply chain disruption, it's a problem for you. Why? Increases the price of the product, could potentially hurt profitability of a company, and could also cause layoffs. That's the issue at hand. Now, the other problem that we're seeing growing tonight, and we may not see hitting the news on this channel for 90 days, is the housing market. Let's jump over the data on that housing market tonight. New home sales down, existing home sales down, builder confidence down, but the real heart of the housing market, I do not believe is going to be seen on this channel till November. Why? People who are currently taking the key and taking ownership of brand new homes today are people who just closed escrow this week. If they just closed escrow this week of October, when did they go into contract to buy the home? Generally about 2 to 3 months ago. So that puts them when the mortgage rates were cheaper, 3 to 6%. The mortgage rates tonight, 7%. I have projected the mortgage rate in the American 30-year fixed mortgage to go to 7% by the end of the year. It did it by the end of that week of projections. I'm now projecting to go to 8%. No one can afford a home at a 7% mortgage or an 8%, and that is going to cause the housing market to absolutely crash to smithereens. When do we see that number? Not yet, because you don't see the lack of houses closing escrow until 90 days out, which is about November. So that is the data we're watching for across the board. Cryptocurrency really took a hit over the weekend as crypto really fell, in some cases, under 20,000 for a bit. Ethereum trying to really push lower, closer to $1,000, and Decentraland really hovering under that 70 cents. Bond yields continue to track higher 2-year and 10-year note, and the pop of the stocks today should not be a suggestion that we're out of the woods yet. It's just a suggestion that there's an opportunity to trade the investment across the board. Now, in just days from now, we're going to have breaking news, and the breaking news will be the CPI-W being released on October 13th. What do you think it is? Jump in the live chat. We'll be answering that in the second half. We'll also have the announcement from OPEC+. Are they really cutting the gasoline by 1 million barrels a day? Then we also have the Federal Reserve meeting in just days from now, announcing that October FOMC interest rate spike. Do you think it's 50 or 75? Jump in the live chat. We'll be answering all that in the big second half. Plus, I'll have my projection on where this economy will be by the end of the month. And the major question for the night, and I want you to answer it right now in the live chat as well. When do you believe the stimulus stampede is going to happen? What is a stimulus stampede? If you don't know that, I'll answer that in the big second half. I want to see your projections, and we'll answer them together in the big second half. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, the broadcast is just getting started, and yes, you're ready to rock and roll with massive checks in the big second half as we go over each of them one at a time. I'll see you back in 60 seconds as all the breaking news continues on Evenings.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Daily for the excitement of the new LA live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA at 9 a.m. Home LA returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late.
And the excitement continues right now in the big second half as Evenings LA goes into that massive stimulus. Excited you stayed to the second half. God bless you, because we're going to go over some massive checks for you to get. They continue with those FSCs. Remember, President Joe Biden passed those first 3 checks we went over in the first half, FSCs, A, B, and C. Then Congress came around and did other checks, and those are checks E through K. Massive stimulus. And thereafter, I found other FSCs. We're going to go over all that, starting right now on a big night and a big evening of Evenings LA for the Purple Power. Wow. So here we go. We just went over check C. Well, let's jump into check E through K. These are the ones that passed by Congress. Check E, $7,500. Incredible. Check F, $4,000. Whoa. Check G, a whopping 30% off. Check H, $2,000. That's great. Check I, $8,000. Check J, $8,000. And check K, $14,000. Absolutely incredible. In those checks, E through K, you got a little bit of everything. You got money for car, you have home repairs, you have brand new appliances like a refrigerator, like a bacon griller for me. Maybe a blow dryer for someone with a San Francisco hairstyle. I don't know. There you go, E through K. We're not done there yet. After those checks, I found you other checks, and they are L and M. L is $100,000 of loan interest-free money for the purchase of a brand new home. Great. M is $4,000 of grant money, closing cost assistance. Huge. Stimulus N, my favorite. Everyone knows that I love Stimulus N. You know, it's not $100,000. It's $100, but I love it. It's $100 to a participating provider to get a brand new tablet. Most tablets are less than $100, so this is great for you. Brand new tablet or desktop or computer. Why would you not love this? I think this is great. Then free internet as well. Part of that great Stimulus N. Stimulus O, 0 down payment, 0 closing costs, 0 credit check, and 0 insurance for the purchase of a brand new home. Huge. And then Stimulus P and Q. 3% down even for the existing refi of an existing home, or $8,000 and $8,000 of closing costs, all grant money for you to keep. Huge. That is FSC, federal stimulus checks from the federal government, sent by the federal government. You apply with the federal government. That is Congress, the White House, Washington, D.C. has nothing at all to do with your state. Largest check so far in those A through Q, $100,000. Smallest check, $8,000. Fastest routing times. Johnny started on Monday. By Wednesday, he had $45,000. By Friday, he had $80,000. He applied at 15 places, got 7 approved. You make that effort as well. Success stories. One viewer overnight, Barbara, getting $14,000 or $15,000, just huge. Another viewer in the live chat that ended this morning was, I think it was 16 or 17,000. I have to look it up again. It was just incredible. Big success stories are happening every moment. If you're in the live chat, write your success story, whatever you are, because you inspire other people. Dragon was at 140,000. Now she's at 170,000. She got another 30,000. A longtime viewer, Mark, is gotten 166,000. Lorraine was at 105, and now she's at 150. And the success stories continue to come in left and right. These are those incredible FSCs. Now let's look at some of the success stories. And the reason I show you these success stories is to inspire you to be the next success story. Do you want $30,000 of rent? Then go get some Checks Cs. Now we've had 2 viewers, each separately getting 14 months of rent in the last few days. We have Lynn Glenn, who's in all the live chats, wonderful viewer. She got 12 months of utilities. And we had another viewer who got 12 months of utilities. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 of utilities. Look at these success stories for utilities. Huge. Go get them as well. And then we go over to the incredible Checks. And then we go over the incredible Snap. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $250,000 over 10 years. Combinations of checks. Niece is at 23,000. She went to 50,000. Mark was at 32,000. Then he went to here, 50,000. Then he went to 100,000. Then he got 66,000 for check B, 166,000. Here's Lorraine. She was at 105, and then she went to 155. And that, my friends, is the wonderful checks of FSCs, federal stimulus checks, FSCs. Now, let's turn to ISCs, inflation relief stimulus checks, brand new. These are different. First, these are checks from your state. These are from your state. Number 2, they're from most U.S. states. Number 3, they're about $1,000. So nice. Not enough to pay your bills for 2 years, but a nice check. And finally, the checks are generally requiring you to have a tax return on file. So if you've never filed a tax return, you can do it voluntarily. Go to irs.gov and find the website and go in and do it electronically. It takes you all of a half an hour. Great news across the board. How do you learn about these ISC checks? First, you become a member. Then you go down to Check D, like donut. Click the link, and then at Check D, it opens a brand new list of these ISC checks, these Check Ds. It'll list the state, and then under the state, it'll list the amount. Then after the amount, it'll list a link to go into the state, your state, that administers and the agency that administers the check. You can learn about it, when it's coming, how it comes, and to track it and more. And that, my friends, is the wonderful ISCs. But we're not done there yet. You know what's next. Lifetime stimulus checks. LSCs. The reason we call them lifetime stimulus is because once they go up, they never go down. It's absolutely incredible stimulus. It's everything you and I have ever wanted for on this channel. We had always talked about SS200 from Elizabeth Warren. We talked about SS300 from Joe Biden. We talked about SS400. This is more money than that, and it's just days away. Why? Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. And we learned this all on October 13th. On October 13th, the COLA raise will be announced. COLA determines how much your benefits go up, not just this year, but lifetime. That COLA is determined by 3 other numbers. The CPI-W for the month of July, which was released, we have that number, 8.7. The CPI-W for the month of August, we have that number, 8.9. And the CPI-W for the month of September, which is also released on October 13th. Now, we have a lot of fascinating news hitting on this tonight across the board. But first, let me ask the question again. Where do you believe that CPI-W for September 13th will be? Write the CPI-W, the number, comment your state in the live chat, and I'll have my answer in just a second. This is getting really interesting. First, we have the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index that we started today's recording about. It's a big indicator of where that CPI is just days later, and it showed that it went up 1% compared to the prior month. So with that, you're certainly confident, as specifically 0.6%, you're certainly confident to say the CPI-W for the month of September is likely higher than that 8.9 of August. When I've asked this question over the last week, no viewer said the CPI-W for September is going to have an 8 in it. They all say 9 something, 9 point something. That's the first thing. Second, the gasoline. Again, another one of my projections came out right. Over the summer, I told you back in July that September notoriously has higher gas prices. Why? People are back from summer vacations. They're back in town driving their cars. They're back from overseas or visiting in-laws. Number two, they're back at school, driving the kids to schools. Number three, they also see hurricane season. September's always hurricane season. When there's hurricane seasons, refineries are turned offline. When they're turned off, there's less production. All that has happened. All that has happened. And before Hurricane Ian even hit, the AAA national average of gasoline stopped going down about 2 weeks ago. I immediately recorded on this channel. I said, did you notice that? It's in the membership newsletter nightly, the AAA national average. It stopped going down. It was flat. The next day it went up. Ever since then, it's been going up. And what is the price of gasoline where you live tonight? Catalina on the live chat last night said in Koreatown in Los Angeles, it was nearly $7 a gallon. It's $7 in virtually all parts of Los Angeles tonight. It surged really high. And so if you can find that $5.40 or $5.20 or $5.30 in Los Angeles, you grab it because it's really hard to find anymore. Just a month ago, it was very easy to get a 5-something gallon of gas in Los Angeles. So now that Ian has hit, refineries are turned offline for a few days while it was passing the storm, and production decreased, demand increased, and that's why the AAA national average of gasoline has surged dramatically higher in those last 2 weeks of September. With that, it makes the analysis very easy to say gasoline down in July, gasoline down in August, gasoline up in September. Obviously, the CPI-W is higher in the month of September. So where are we going to put it? Before we answer that question, let me do this with you. Let's go over the component parts at CPI-W to see if they're going up as well. First, the warm-up. Our salary is going up. Of course they are. 0.2% on average every month. Number two, warm-up. The rent. Is rent going up? Yes, on average about 1% per month. It's not going down. And number three, is the medical bills going up? Yes, about 1% as well per month. So all those three items are going up. The gasoline's going up. How about the groceries? Get ready to jump on the live chat. I have some questions for you right now. Eggs in your state. What's going on with your eggs in your state? Eggs down or up, comma, your state. My answer, eggs up, comma, California. Here's a new one tonight. Cleaning supplies. When you go to check out in the supermarket and you're paying for the detergent or the bleach or the washing or the dishwasher soap. It going down or going up? My answer, up, comma, California. What's your answer for dishwasher soap, comma, up, and your state? Finally, the last question tonight. The chicken. Is the chicken up or is the chicken down? My answer is the chicken's up, comma, California. And there you go. Final question. Grocery bill. Is the total grocery bill up? And of course, we're talking all about September, not particularly the month of October. We're talking about last month, September. Yes, I'm saying groceries, comma, up, comma, California. What are you saying? Jump in the live chat right now. Okay, so here comes our summary questions. Now that you and I have done the analysis, let's go over the summary. We asked this early in the recording. Let's see your summary right now. Where do you put the CPI-W for the month of September when it's released on October 13th? July was 8.7, August was 8.9. My answer tonight, 9.1. 9.1, comma, California. I had it at 8.9, then I moved it to 8.95, then I moved it to 9.0, tonight I'm 9.1. The vast majority of viewers since last week are putting it in a low to mid 9 number. I don't see any of you are putting it at 8, so I see no 8.9s, no 8.8s. I have seen some 9.3s. I see a lot of 9.0s. I see a lot of 9.1s. I see sporadically a 9.2, but no one's putting it at 8.9. So most people, viewers of this channel, think about the same. Big question then. How much are your benefits going to go up? What will be that COLA rise as announced on October 13th? This is a hard one. This is really a hard one to do because it's not apples to apples. It's a hard number to predict. I had said over the summer 11%. Seniors League said 10%. That was when the CPI-W was lower at 8.7. It's clearly not an 8.7 anymore. So at this point, I'm now thinking maybe my 11% is low when earlier I thought it was too high. Am I changing it? No, I'm going to keep it 11%. It's a really hard number to predict. I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong. I'm sure it's going to be even higher, although I just know I'm going to get it wrong. What are you putting that raise of your benefits, that COLA, write it in the live chat. I have seen some 13% in the discussion on the videos, so put it in the live chat. Which tees up the big question of the night. When is a stimulus stampede going to happen? Now, stimulus stampede is very important to learn and very important to earn upon. And if you're new to this channel, let me explain what a stimulus stampede is, and then we'll go over the analysis, you and I together across the board. What is a stimulus stampede? A stimulus stampede is an expression I coined that explains when Americans are rushing to grab stimulus because they cannot afford to live anymore. This is really the back against the wall situation. They're about to lose something, lose a car, lose a home. Something's really bad. This is not, I'm struggling to pay for the eggs, but I still buy the eggs. This is really, you're about to lose something. So when is that stimulus stampede going to happen? I had said over the last few recordings, 90 days. 90 days. What do you think? When do you think the stimulus stampede is going to happen? One viewer had a fascinating comment over the weekend. I love it to death. She said February of next year. Why February? She said because they have a lot more ability to spend on debt than we think they do. Interesting analysis. I love her analysis. What she's saying is basically what Bank of America is talking about, is that Americans are dipping into their savings. So you and I don't really know how much savings people have saved up. And they're also running up their debt. And we don't know how long it takes till they max out their debt. They can't carry any more debt, and they default on the debt, or they max out the credit card. You and I don't really know that type of debt. It's really hard data to glimmer. And the viewer's analysis was the following: holiday season. They're going to run the chart. They're going to run the bills through the roof this holiday season, thinking that great times are here to stay, and then they have the rude awakening in February, and they realize, wait a second, what did I do to myself? I can't afford this stuff. And that's a fascinating type of analysis. Now, let's go over industry by industry across the board to see if you and I tonight, as we do the analysis, can figure out the stimulus stampede a little bit more importantly. Why is it important to know when the stimulus stampede is? Let me first go over that. Because those people will be here. They'll be brand new members. We'll invite them to this channel. They'll be brand new subscribers. They may be you tonight, but they will be competing against all of us for stimulus. And ultimately, 90 days from now, I believe I'll still have stimulus. 6 months from now, February next year, will I still have the stimulus? I don't know. I really don't know. And that's why you have to get all this incredible sums of money. This is why I tell you to stay the second half, because this is the awakening, the wake-up call. You got to get this money today before you're competing against those people later in the future as this channel explodes and gets bigger as more people struggle. Now, let's go over the stimulus stampede mentality first before we go over the date. In my opinion, the mentality of the stimulus stampede will be very different. Americans are going to remember what the federal government did for them when they went onto lockdown in March of 2020. The federal government moved very quickly, got business grants out for EIDL grants and EIDL loans to save people's businesses, single and sole practitioners, independent contractors, Uber and Lyft drivers who were put on lockdown. They had relief immediately. Then they came in and helped with that unemployment benefits, giving extra weeks of unemployment benefits, PUC, higher unemployment benefits, FPUC, $600 on top of existing benefits. And then, of course, they had some checks on top of all that. Will that relief exist again? Likely not. Why? A lockdown perceived in March of 2020 was initially thought to only be 3 months. So that's why Congress ran the stimulus through the roof, because they really thought the lockdown was going to be 3 months. That's why they're happy to spend all this money. Everyone and their sister and brother who understands a recession understands it's not 3 months. I've been projecting recession since early this year, and I said it's 2 years. So no one has enough stimulus to give you for 2 years. And I don't think the stimulus stampede personnel will initially understand that. They will come here and say, hey, what do you got for me? Do you got me FBC? I don't. Do you have business assistance? No, I don't. Do you have none of that? Why would they not do it? They did it before because the lockdown before was 3 months. This is a recession for 2 years. It's very different across the board. And that is really sort of part and course for the mentality. So now let's go over the dates. When you believe that stimulus stampede is going to hit, jump in the live chat and write your comments. I really believe the 90 days is going to kick in. Housing market is really getting hit right now with the hurt. You're not going to see the announcement of the hurt until the data comes out from the impact of the mortgage rate at 7% in about 90 days from now. But the hurt is being felt right now. So anyone who is on the buyer or seller side or works in the housing industry is really feeling that hurt. Construction, subcontractors, absolutely. What about the independent contractor, the small business owner? Oh, they're feeling the hurt right now. They're feeling the hurt right now as the rates for their inventory, their debt is going higher. But it's really going to be felt when Jay Powell raises interest rates in October, November, December, 75 basis point every meeting I'm projecting. And that's going to really hurt anyone that has a small business and has the merchandise bought on credit card debt. Won't be able to afford it, will lose the business. Then what about people who had investments in stocks and crypto and really were bought in on the notion that everything goes up and it hasn't gone up? And the valuations continue to devalue, and they thought they were going to be in there for 6 months or 3 months, and suddenly it's going lower, lower, lower every day. They cash out and they lose any type of appreciation of their value. They're going to cash out. They're going to take that cash because they got to cover their bills. That's what's going to happen. So this is all critically important to understand where this economy is going and where it's heading. And let's recap where it's landed and also go over where it's heading. Number one, back in spring of 2021, I was the first American broadcaster to report and predict that the U.S. economy would have 8% inflation by December of 2021, and that it was not going to go away. It didn't. The Federal Reserve and Wall Street at the time said 2% temporary transitory. Untrue. In January this year, I said that inflation was still going to stay around at 8% because it's caused by supply chain disruption, and that raising interest rates at the Federal Reserve over subsequent FOMC meetings would not work. They didn't. 7 meetings, interest rates did not. Inflation did not go down, still at 8%. Then I told you over the summer that the inability of Wall Street to assess risk, more interest rate spikes from the Federal Reserve is going to cause a market crash of the Dow and the NASDAQ. It did. And I told you in February this year that a recession is going to hit for 2 years. It happened. So where am I predicting it out tonight? What are the new predictions tonight for this channel? Number one, 8% mortgage rates for the 30-year fix by the end of this year. Number one. Number two, the 2 and the 10-year bonds to become more inverted as the recession is more indicative. Number three, more hiring freezes, more layoffs, and more downward guidance. We're going into the third quarter earnings reports. Companies are about to report their earnings from the last quarter we just ended. And they're not going to be good at all. And they're also going to downward guide for the whole rest of this year. And then we'll see the lack of consumer confidence this holiday season, as consumers are not going to be able to afford inflated prices of goods that are even higher than before, or will not spend the way they did before. And a lot of those businesses are dependent upon those holiday sales, and they're not going to be coming on in. And then finally, what am I predicting the industries that really hurt the most that haven't hurt yet? Auto. I really do believe that auto is going to be one of those industries that's really going to fall apart because most people buy cars on car loans. And those auto salespersons still think they can run those crazy prices of those new cars through the roof and that they can keep less cars on the lot to increase the price for the car. They're going to have a rude awakening when they suddenly see that inventory build up, build up, and build up, just like the house flippers who aren't getting out of those houses fast enough, holding the price point, not cutting back. They're going to lose the houses across the board. Ultimately, it's all comes down to this hashtag campaign. Hashtag stand for stimulus. Hashtag stand for stimulus. A new campaign on this channel that means bring your friends and family over. Bring your friends and family over to LA. Get them to become part of the Purple Power because you care about them like I care about you, and you want to make sure that they are financially independent as this economy gets worse. And you want them to get everything you've got from this channel now while it's still around. Stand for stimulus. Tell them to get over here, become part of this Purple Power community, and stand and get all this incredible stimulus and learn to earn. Because the people who are going to survive this recession are the people who learn. And with that, let's pull out that worksheets, or worksheets, plural. The worksheets are in the third line or fourth line of the membership newsletter. Go down there and print them out. It's a series of PDFs you can print out from your cell phone computer and take notes on. And what do we know about those worksheets tonight? Well, here we go. Page 1, inflation. Inflation, still higher, hasn't gone down. And that CPI and that CPI-W when released in the month of October for September is likely to go up month to month. Big news for your benefits. Recession. Yes, do not get confused that the GDP number is a positive number for the third quarter. That does not mean we don't have recession. Labor. Labor falls apart later in a recession, and that hasn't happened yet. Layoffs, hiring freeze is not as significant, even though Lyft announced one just days ago last week. Federal Reserve made it very clear they're raising rates into 2024. Has Wall Street grasped that yet? No. I think that Wall Street is really not even grasping that lobster shorts are not in fashion yet. Let's go to the next page of the worksheet. Here we go. And the next page of the worksheet, very important one. To keep track of all the stimulus you're applying for. Why? Because you're going to be applying for a lot of stimulus. Check A, 1 check. But check B, 80 to 100 checks. Check C, 80 to 100 checks, but 12 places to find 80 checks. Yes, you're going to promise me you're going to apply to all 12 places. 12 places for rent, 12 places for utilities. Absolutely. So you want to keep track of when you apply for, and you want to keep track of when you got paid for. Because if someone didn't pay for you go get it from somewhere else. And then the next page is the wonderful page on the gasoline prices. Keep track of those gasoline prices, because if you don't have a good memory and you don't save up all the newsletters you're getting, then you may not realize how significantly the gas has gone up in less than 2 weeks. And finally, the benefit raises. You can run all those numbers on there in advance of that October 13th deadline, and we have a page in the worksheets about your benefits. The worksheets are very important, and print out multiple copies for you. Take notes on a separate piece of paper, because there is so much stimulus. You want to make sure you get as much as you can. Thank you for watching Evenings LA at 5 o'clock in record numbers of the last 2 nights. You got the messaging. It's the breaking news every night at evenings at 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock is Countdown. 7 o'clock is Stream Stimulus. 8 o'clock is Extra. 9 o'clock is Sunset. The programming continues throughout the night at 10 and 11:30, then back at 3 and 3:30 a.m. on the West Coast. And then early mornings LA at 4 a.m. starts a new day. Mornings Countdown continues at 7 a.m. and Mornings LA at 9 a.m. Meantime, Home LA at 11 a.m. is now Holidays LA. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Thank you for joining me as a member. Thank you for staying the big second half. Now it's time to go get some stimulus. Now that you watched and learned to earn, it's time for you to pick up that phone and go into the website, go into that newsletter, start applying for some incredible checks, get all those big sums of money. Make yourself proud, make the Purple Power family proud. Learn to earn and move to groove. And I'll see you as the programming continues throughout the night on LA Light.